about to drop. Stop clocks on the speed bag. Every out under pressure, no jet lag. This is greater than trophies and saluted flags. Titles of pain, the cost is paid. Yay, I carried the cross I made. Deal with the dealer. Baby, the hand was played. New level, next stage. Learn to lead as a legend. Now tell me what's my next stage. Yay. I said the champ is here, switch gears. We keeping haters in the rear. At the blood, sweat, and tears, and my goal so near. I see my vision so clear. And today, we break through. 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 For the victory lap, though.
What's going on, everybody? What is going on? I'm sure everybody is chipper. I'm sure everybody is just super, super stoked right now about what they just witnessed, and they are just geared up and ready to talk about it.
Preseason basketball, baby. Feel the energy.
Oh, man. What is up, everybody? Thank you all for coming in. Welcome into the Jack Ramsays live post-game show here, obviously, with Brandon Sprague. I am Danny Marang. The Trailblazers fall to the Phoenix Suns 119-74 in Game 3. They're now 0-3. Off to a whimper, I think, is how the kids like to state it. Is it the kids or is it the old people that say that, Sprague?
Olds. I think it's the olds, but I think you're old by saying the kids. Yeah. I think you doubled up on. Did
I just become the meme right there? Did I become how do you do, fellow kids?
Could you clear something up for us?
Yeah.
Because I feel like if somebody on this podcast can know the answer, it's gonna be you because you know my stance on preseason basketball. Yeah. How many title contending teams go winless in the preseason?
That's low. That's a low one. Like you get at least one quarter or one game of coherent, competent basketball. We have not gotten that yet.
Okay.
That's the thing. It's like it doesn't matter, but it does to like. So the Lakers rolled out that lineup last night.
Yeah, I saw that
Russ,
against the Warriors.
And Braun against the Warriors, and
the sitting Warriors.
Oof! It looked rough.
They're gonna struggle for about half the year.
Yeah, but they have so much overwhelming top-end talent between Braun and AD that they can pretty much get by with whatever they want. So I think that's kind of it's a decent fallback, right?
Well, also, you won a championship like a year ago. I know it feels like we're on our third season since COVID, but it's actually been one calendar year since they won their championship in the bubble. And not that like Laker expectations aren't every year a championship, but at least you can say, guys, it really wasn't that long ago. We just won a title. Like, let us figure this out. Portland doesn't necessarily have that under their belt.
That fallback isn't there?
No, not quite. No.
All right, let's just do a quick summation recap of the first quarter because I think that's probably what matters the most if you're taking away anything tangible or useful in that respect. Would you agree? Maybe the second quarter.
I would go half, and then I'll throw this to you. Not that they were going to win the game, but they played Dame, Nurk, and Rocco in the third quarter, and they let the lead get bigger in that stretch. And I thought, that's not good, Bob.
Yeah,
that's not good.
That was a problem. I was going to go there on the sour notes. Shout out everybody who's come in here. Keelan, Kirk, Ben, PM, Jay, anybody else I'm missing here? Joey. Joel, Logan, James. I'm trying to scroll through and see everybody. I appreciate all the support, guys. Thank you all for coming in. Here's the recap from Ben West. Blazers sucked, and I think that's kind of a good place to start out with. They did. They did not have a redeeming quality in the first quarter. They were incredibly disjointed on the offensive end, which that's a major problem. It's one thing for them to not be good defensively. Yeah, shocking. They haven't been at the point of attack since 2015. That's kind of how that goes. You lose Wes, you lose Nick, you don't have the backdrop of LaMarcus and Robin behind him. Yeah. But that offense, Brandon, that offense doesn't struggle, and they look like they were stuck in mud, man.
Yeah, it was just overall a really, really bad day.
Mm-hmm.
This is not the department of excuse making. I think people who listen to the radio show or have heard me and Dan do podcasts know, like, I'm not in on that business. Sometimes I do think there's reasons for things. I'll say this: I'm really curious if an early-ish tip played any factor at all. Again, not an excuse, but
no. 2 p.m. weird start.
Weird start.
You get a WNBA finals game. I think I've heard plenty of guys I know are like, "Hey, I want to go watch that. It's gonna be fun."
Yeah.
It's the first real road trip.
Yeah.
That these guys have been on, and post-COVID with people in the stands. I think there's a little bit of that. Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
Now, again, not an excuse. Let's get to the real stuff now. You can be concerned about the offense. I am a little concerned about the offense, but here's overall how I feel. I think they are going to figure that out eventually.
History says that a team led by Damian Lillard, who is an offense unto himself, they'll figure that part out.
That will get course corrected.
Yeah.
What concerns me is, one, there didn't seem to be any, like, from any one player of, we care at all about doing this. Like, even Dame himself. And look, Dame's earned, I guess, the cachet to say,
it's preseason.
It's preseason.
Yeah.
Why do it doesn't matter. So maybe there's that, but I watched that from the tip, and I ended up turning off basically the fourth quarter.
I was saying and I think it was end of the third. I think you texted me and said, "Let me know when we start."
I was like, I'm done with this. I don't need to watch any more of this god awful performance. But I don't think they cared, and you can say that that's a problem, and I won't disagree with you. And then also defensively, without calling out a media member, I saw somebody saying they're playing good defense. They just not playing great offense. Bro, you cannot watch that performance and tell me that they played good defense. They were lucky. They were only down 10 at the first quarter, and they weren't down 50 at the half. They were leaving every Phoenix Sun player wide open while also having 8-9 turnovers. I mean, it was a dreadful start that they didn't seem to really care about. So, again, maybe it matters, maybe it doesn't offensively. We'll wait and see. I'm still really concerned about the defense because I thought today, if there was going to be a day to show us some growth or some improvement, it might be today. And that certainly wasn't the case.
Wait, what's that, Sprague? Did. Oh, reporter Danny checking in. The Seattle Times is reporting that the Root has reached a deal with DirecTV and will carry both simultaneous Kraken and Trailblazers games. That is just now coming out for everybody who has DirecTV. I had a couple of people actually DM me and email me last night like, hey, why does this say this? There you go. It is officially official as far as DirecTV. It's the same ownership group, so them trying to unspool and figure out how that was all going to work. The majority owner, I believe, of the Kraken of
the capital firm
that owns AT&T
yeah.
Direct. Yeah, it's all connected, folks. So no matter which service you have, whether it's Comcast, Xfinity, or DirecTV, you can watch this crappy team. So in that regard,
I want to give a shout out though to PM, listener PM. He knows what he hooked me up with, so I just want to say thank you to PM.
Shout out. Here's the other thing. What you're talking about defensively, I had to work in the reporter Danny segment there. We'll make that a regular part of the show. Defensively, did you notice how many ball fakes they jumped at tonight?
All of them.
It was incredible. It was
Danny,
like popcorn out there. Just and then jumping. Nothing was closed under control. And you know when that happens? Because they don't trust. They don't trust the next guy behind them. You jump at somebody, you jump at somebody, you jump at somebody because you're not anticipating, reading, or reacting. You're just going. And It was one, maybe two passes. The skip pass, and Lamar did a great job highlighting this. The skip pass was unlocking that defense with one pass. Every time. They were overloading, pre-helping on the drive because they were dying on screens. Nurk was coming out above the level. There was one late in the first quarter. I think it was Campaign's first time on the floor. No, he started. Never mind. It was still that first group. So he snaked in and strung Nurk out a little bit further around, so it alleviated him coming out above, and he just went past him. And it was because there was zero resistance out of a point of attack. It was way too easy. There was no handover. Nurk doesn't have the foot speed to keep up with Campaign when he's got, a little bit of traction getting downhill. Yep. And all of a sudden, you're just sitting there going, what is happening? And it was bad. It was bad. It was breakdown after breakdown after breakdown. Guys were getting beat back in transition. And here's the thing. I am not trying to sit here and ring, my own bell, toot my own horn, whatever instrument that is being played here about coaching not being this end-all, be-all. I'm going to give this the 20 games that I said I'm going to give it. But I said this on Twitter, Brandon. Give me a string to pull on. Like, where is the good that I'm supposed to go? Okay, I see what you're doing. You're out of control. You're blowing this. But what we saw was different mistakes. Regularly, not getting back, getting too high, not getting high enough, not making contact, miscommunications, two guys going out at a shooter, preloading too early, overhelping. And it was just, these were the same things that we saw last year when they tried to bring in a more aggressive scheme. I don't know if the personnel changes are going to be enough to overcome that, but I think they're going to give it the old college try.
Well, one thing, I got a couple of things. First, I just want to ask, how many times did we watch Larry Nance yell at CJ?
At least 4 that I counted.
And I jokingly asked over under 22 for the season, man. This is the thing, and you pointed this out when they traded for Larry Nance.
He does not sit idly by.
No, and I'm sorry. Again, you did not address your biggest concern, and that is that you have 2 guys in the backcourt that are not strong defenders, and
they still don't have any point of attack defender, like a legitimate ball stopper.
I just, how many years in a row do you need to watch 2 undersized guards not be good defenders before you say, oh, I think their defense is really awful because they have 2 guys who are not very good defenders and are small? This whole new coach, new scheme, this is going to change, that's going to change. Man, I don't know about that. And this accountability thing, again, I'm not sitting here overreacting and acting like this tells me everything about what they're going to be. I'm a 25-game guy, so we'll see. But
it doesn't mean you can't look at this. It doesn't mean you can't take from this and go, okay, this is where we've seen now for 3 games.
It's just it's kind of hollow to me. Like, I don't care about hearing about how you're going to hold guys accountable. I don't care about hearing how you're going to make guys work harder on that end of the court. You are talking about a team that largely has 2 guys that don't, because they carry the load offensively and one guy doesn't really have any interest. Like, one of our somebody had tweeted, I don't know if he's listening, I hope he is, but Wayne tweeted and said, you can see what the new coaching staff is trying to do defensive wise. I'm believing even stronger this starting roster is just not good enough. And to that, I'd say, Wayne, I agree with your second statement. I completely disagree. I don't see anything different. I really don't.
They are bringing Nurk higher up. That is a real thing.
That's not making any difference. So if you're
just changing the angle of the breakdown,
just because one thing looks different does not make it right. And so my thing is, this is a results-based situation, right? Their defense is going to be better based on the results that we see night in and night out. And so far in the preseason, there have not been any changes on the court defensively in terms of the result.
Yeah, and Logan Euchre says, didn't you say, Danny, that losing the preseason went okay, but if it went horrible like last year, it'd be extremely concerning? Yeah. If the same exact trends are popping up, i.e. miscommunication, failure to communicate, lack of trust, dying at the point of attack, not getting back in transition, not holding guys accountable, and that's not the coaching staff. I've said this so many times, I've lost count. I don't care about the coaching staff holding guys accountable because that just doesn't matter. In the NBA, it just does not matter.
But Danny, I don't disagree with you. I never did disagree with that. But I would just push back and say they have made us believe that it does matter
Yes.
based on what we have heard and read so far.
Yeah, I sent something to you along the lines of just keep blaming Terry. Just keep blaming Terry. That'll go for 20 games. That's enough cover for 15, 20 games. But
Danny,
if those issues are still there.
Here's the thing. We have people tweeting us already like they and I don't blame these people. Like if you watched that game, I know what you saw, but you got people tweeting already what they think the season is. I was on a chat
and I'd roll that back a little bit too.
That's fine, but I was on a chat while the game was going on, and you should have seen the comments in that chat. It was like, "Oh God, betting the under. Oh, they suck. Oh, they're bad. Oh, they're bad." And I get it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I don't know if the fans. I don't know if it's gonna be 20 games. If you go 20 games in, and you're, let's just for argument's sake, say you're 8-12. Oh, buddy, if you start sub 500 your first 5 or 6, like I just don't think there's as much patience with this as maybe you and I think there is, because this is largely the same team. He keeps rolling back the same team and expecting a better result because there's a coaching change. If you start slow, I don't think the fans are going to sit back idly and be like, I'm going to wait for 65 games. We'll wait and see. I think people they're done. They do not want to wait anymore. They want to see better results.
I am in that camp firmly of wanting to see the better results. I'm pretty firm in the whole 20 games thing because I was and have been very adamant about coaching not being as impactful as personnel. And if I'm going to die on that hill, like that flag is cemented with vibranium, okay? Like it is, that thing is going nowhere. I am dead on that hill. So I'm going to give it the full 20, even if things go stupidly good for 10 or completely sideways for 10. I'm going to give it that 20, but along the way, I'm going to point out the good and the bad. These 3 preseason games, they have given me exactly zero good as far as things that are tangible in that starting lineup. One guy, Larry Nance Jr., has looked good defensively, where I go, yep, trust him. Tonight, he had like 3 different possessions where he just bailed them out throughout the entire possession.
Yeah.
And it was just, oh, okay, that's a heady, good defender. Cove, he's going to do Cove things. Starting lineup tonight. Let's just kind of revisit that real quick. Both sides of the floor. 16 of 49 shooting, 33%. 9 turnovers, 6 assists. The 6 assists isn't nearly as troubling because they just couldn't hit a shot.
They were cold.
Where I push on that a little bit further is that the shots they were getting were pretty bad. They did not get quality looks.
It wasn't what the looks Phoenix was getting,
no,
that's for sure.
No. I went back and I was tracking them. There was maybe one of the first 14 Suns threes that was remotely contested. They were stepping into wide open. Legitimately, the Blazers could have been down 30 after 1.
They really could have been, yeah.
I mean, it was the contrast between the two, and it was just nuts. It was absolutely bonkers. But again, 9 turnovers, pretty sloppy in the limited amount of action they had. I am not a plus-minus guy, but if you want to see a dead body, go look at the plus-minus for the starters tonight. It was a disaster.
Was it worse than last game's starting 5, which was like, what, Blevins?
Yeah, that one was really bad. Norm saved his a little bit with a little bit of a push. He got to a -14, but Cove -29, Nurk 25, CJ 23, Dame 25.
My takeaway tonight, Danny, in the lineup, like the starting lineup, like CJ wasn't very good, but again, I think Dame and CJ are 2 guys that like
they'll
get
figure
it going.
It out.
This has been billed as like, this is a big year for Nurk, and Nurk's going to carry a lot of the load. Like Danny, I've seen 0 evidence to suggest he deserves any of that offensive cachet to kind of run the offense and be at the top. Like, I don't see it. And I know he's had a couple good moments, and statistically you could point to a game and say, well, look, that's not bad, Brandon. And it was troubling how bad he was today. Like, that was lazy, slightly out of shape, completely tuned out to a game, Jusuf Nurkic. And we've seen that from time to time. that disturbs me. I don't want to see that in a year where you're telling me he's going to get more touches. He's going to take shots from Dame and CJ. You can't give me that performance, man.
You and I talked about this. Hey, Nurk, you want all that? Show up, deliver, be in shape. Do all of the things that are required of being a top 2, top 3 option. You want that higher usage rate, finish your damn shots. You want to be a playmaker, take care of the damn ball. Mm-hmm. Tonight, 4 turnovers, 2 of 7 shooting, and 5 fouls on screens.
And Ayton just ate him alive.
Oh, he took him out to the mid-range face up and just worked him.
Yep.
Somebody asked me the other day if I would take Ayton on his rookie max, and I, without question, are you asking me if I'm going to take 21-year-old David Robinson? Yes, I'm going to take. Oh, I love Ayton. I love Ayton when he came out. I actually
spicy. That's
I actually knew
take.
that the Suns were going to take him early on because of the relationship they had there, and I said, listen, I like Luka, but when you've got size always matters. And if it's that big, that strong, that athletic, we saw the difference between what a good Ayton can do for that Suns team versus, when they didn't have him or when he was still just young trying to figure it out. He's a 20-10 monster who can score at all levels. Like, it's the 3-point shot's still coming around, but I have a lot of faith in Ayton.
Wow. David Robinson's quite the compliment. I too like him. Obviously, he's not going to win the Luka comp, but to his credit, they were positioned last year because of him and Booker and CP and Bridges. Like,
he's the most efficient finisher in the league.
They went to the finals, so it's like it's hard for me to really ridicule the pick, even though I know Luka's going to end up being one of the all-time.
He's probably going to be a top 10 player of all time.
Possibly, and maybe he wins multiple championships in Dallas, but you got to get out of the first round first.
But here's the thing. Ayton is not a slouch. Everybody he is not. This feels kind of bad.
He's not Marvin Bagley.
He's not Marvin Bagley. That's exactly what I was going for. Like Kings, you couldn't even get one of them. Not one. But yeah, no.
Close my work email. I'm sorry, that keeps popping up.
Oh, you're good. I've seen a lot of the comments in here, guys. Can we trade for Simmons? Can we trade for Simmons? Listen, Ben Simmons comes with his own basket of cats. But here's if you want the Dan Marang pulling the strings conspiracy theories. If three things happen in this first 20 games. If they are sub 500, if Nurk is not the guy they want it to be, and there are some grumblings from any player, you maybe see the Blazers change their stance on moving for a guy like Ben Simmons.
The problem is it's going to take CJ. Nurkic is not moving that needle unless you have a 3-team deal.
Well, you're going to move CJ for Simmons, but I think at that point in time, then you're hard shopping Nurk.
I'll say this. One, if you're right, I will sit on this podcast. I will applaud you. I will say kudos. I have zero faith that no matter what happens, he is moving CJ McCollum. I just
listen.
Why should I believe? No offense to you.
No, you shouldn't. You should not.
Why should I believe that?
No, they're saying those are the that would take as far as everybody saying what about Simmons? What about Simmons? That is the way it will go down. Like if it's going to happen, it's not because the Blazers are playing well. They're not going to make moves if they're playing well, unless the contract situation for Nurk or Ant in the re-sign market just become untenable, which I highly doubt the second and the former. That looks likely. I tell you what, Nurk tonight in general, we kind of got sidetracked there. He looked really poor. I'll be honest. He was sloppy. His playmaking. It looked like the Blazers were very off kilter. The Suns were very decisive in their actions. The Blazers seemed like they couldn't really decide on what they wanted to do. I like how they empty out the corner and they run that side pick and roll because it allows them to have a two-man game and get downhill and be effective in different areas. But from what I saw tonight, I saw a lot of stagnant DHOs. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying, I really like the activity and the movement and the cutting from the Blazers. And I'm like, are we watching the same game? I did not see that much activity off ball.
Yeah, that was kind of my takeaway too. I think this podcast is going to be fun because we'll hear different opinions from everybody. But like defensively and offensively, I just did not. I'm not seeing anything where I'm like, Oh man, that's gonna be good.
It's a nice wrinkle. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of Chauncey just sitting on that bench going. And I don't know what to make of it.
I do appreciate his demeanor on the bench so far.
He's even killed. He's not way overreacting.
Like Big Shot Bob is just, and I do appreciate that.
Well, that helps Danny with a former player because he's probably been through preseasons. I'd have to go back and look at Pistons.
That man had some coaches who yelled at him.
Right, but he's a player was like, I probably don't give a shit about this preseason stuff, and he's applying that. It feels like to the team as a coach.
I would kill to be a fly on the wall tomorrow in post action. Is he really grilling guys, or is he going, hey, this is preseason, let's work through some stuff? Because we talked about heading into tonight. I had heard that this may be a dress rehearsal for the starting lineup, and it was a dress rehearsal, and everybody ran into each other. Like it was, everybody had their marks on the floor, and everybody missed them. And I think that, I think the one thing that was positive is you saw Dame come in for like a 4-minute stint of like, oh, that's right, Damian Lillard can still just hit whatever the hell he wants to.
Yeah.
That was like the one thing that came out of this. And Nurk was just the antithesis of what he needs to be. And again, this doesn't condemn him, doesn't mean it's the end of all things. It's listen, man, you've been sloppy with the ball. You got to figure this out, big fella. Like, well, I mean, other than I think the top level offense and defense stuff, Nurk, who either showed out or didn't show out that you wanted to tonight?
I mean, there really isn't any one player that I went in saying, oh, I knew that these guys were going to play. And so I guess my only expectation on this game was show me a glimpse of last year. Like they had some great moments last year. There's no refuting that. I know the end result wasn't great, but they had some good results with Norm, Rocco, Nurk, CJ. Like these guys all played together last year. I know Larry is new into this, and Zeller, when he comes back, is new into this. But guys, it's largely the same team. Like whether it's
the core components are the same.
Whether it's a new coach or Terry or whatever, to me, it shouldn't look that bad. There is no excusing to look that bad. Now here is my follow up to that. And I'm sorry I didn't give you a specific player. I more put
No, you're fine. I listen. If anybody's gonna talk about a theoretical, listen. That's
I know, but I put more on the lineup. Like, hey, starting five, go contest and compete with Phoenix in the first quarter, and after the first quarter, I largely won't care. And they look dead. They didn't care. They just nothing.
Shoulders down, heads dropped. I had somebody text me almost that line for line. Like, what is this?
I'm more curious to this. Is it just possible that they really don't care about the preseason? That all of these guys are like, we're going to be good in the regular season. Who gives a shit? And
we're saying that. I mean, we have said that has been the talking point for the Blazers all off season long, hasn't it? 114, 14.4 offensive or plus 14 net rating with the starting lineup. They're good. They're great. Now we're adding Larry Nance Jr. He's really good. Cody Zeller's a passable player. Ant is showing growth. Nasir Little's breaking out. And we've seen this so many times, and this is what Neil does. He takes one thing and extrapolates that out over a season. He has done that. Has been his MO. Remember the 13-game stretch in 17-18 where they just went bonkers and everybody's like, "That's the team, man. That's gonna be it. It's gonna be if they get that going. That's gonna be." Or sorry, not 17-18, 18-19 after the Western Conference Finals run. That's what they're building it on, and not the previous 70 games.
Yeah. And
it's like, guys, you have to consider the whole season. And so I'm not going to crucify them right now. What I am going to do,
nor should anybody.
No, and I've seen some guys in the comments. Guys, listen, I am the band leader of coaching is not that impactful, but you do need to give this some time. I saw somebody, I can't remember where it was. There was a ton of comments that have come through, and thank you all. If you haven't already, please subscribe. YouTube, if you're here, click the button. Click the button for us. It's free. We appreciate it. It grows the channel. Share it. support us. It helps us be able to do more and more and more. If you haven't already subscribed to the podcast, please do so as well. Like, rate, review, subscribe. You guys know how to do this. Come on now. We love you all. Help us grow. But there was a comment in here about Ryan Willage. Saw this talking point on social tonight. Takes a while to break all the bad habits from the previous coach. Be calm. Thoughts on what we've seen so far still being blamed on Stotts? Yeah, I mean, that whipping boy is going to be there for 20 games.
You are too. This is my thing. First of all, that's an outlandish suggestion that, well, it's a new coach and there were bad habits. So now these, excuse me,
remember Nate
Damian Lillard
McMillan
is the first
getting praised for immediately taking over in Atlanta, and it changed on a dime. Nate got all that credit. Well,
That's weird. It's weird how that happens, isn't it? A new coach comes in and there's not a drop off. There was an increase. Look, I'm not saying that Chauncey isn't the guy. I'm just saying, like, any suggestion that they're not good because they have bad habits. Damian Lillard is in his 10th season?
Yeah. Literal 10th season. He's a first ballot Hall of Famer who with 6 All-NBA nods.
And maybe the greatest Blazer of all time. There is no chance that's an excuse. I'm not willing to. If you want to mark
the
all
guy
the
who's probably one of the hardest workers in the NBA is having trouble breaking Terry Stotts' bad habits.
Bad habits, by the way, of winning 50 games, going to the playoffs. Like, such bad habits.
Not just that.
It's such a lazy take.
Not only that, here's the other part of that. That would mean that Terry Stotts was actually a good coach because he coached them that well at being bad. Like, it's just...
You won't hear that from me. I'll say that much.
Was Terry perfect? Hell no. Was he a defensive guru? No. Nobody's claiming that. But what should be said is that the guys they have had out there, and it's borne out, aren't good defenders.
When Terry's teams were good defensively, what was the difference? He had Wes, he had Nick, he had LaMarcus. It's weird. He probably knew how to coach defense that year. He lost those guys.
He forgot how to coach.
Oh, and then they traded for Jusuf Nurkic, who played like a possessed demon from hell, who was freed from Satan's grasp, and he turned him into a top 10 defensive team. But, Terry learned how to coach defense for that half of season.
But no, that's Nurk saving them, or offensively, it's Dame saving them. And that's the stuff. It gets so frustrating because you've got to give the credit the same every time. Either coaching matters extraordinarily, or it doesn't matter at all. You can't change based on the scenario.
How good was Thibodeau's defense against Trae Young?
Or how was Thibodeau's defense when he was with the Timberwolves? It was 27th, 28th, and 29th.
You can't argue about. I can't argue about that stuff anymore. Like I've maintained my position on it, and if people feel differently, that's okay. But it's a personnel driven thing, and what I saw today is something you hit on. Larry Nance looked engaged. He gives a crap when he plays defense, and he looked around and saw guys that didn't care and played Ole defense all day and was like, guys, what are we doing here?
Yeah, more than a handful of times, Larry was, no. He gives you the finger wave like the Mutombo, and I love it. Or, no, come here.
He did one of these at CJ. He was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing here?
He does that little hop 180 spin up in the air like, what is this?
You play that defense in the regular season, you are going to have a really rough start to your year. Your schedule's not going to be easy.
You know what? Here, let me get to this. I put a question out real quick. 3 preseason games in. What are your thoughts on new roles, the new guys, new defense, player movement, pace, anything else? This was just like, let's check the pulse. Got a couple quick responses. This is from Bradley. I seriously believe the sloppiness of today's game will hurt any negotiations to add streaming services. Nobody wants that on their television. Okay? From Yo Boss, call up Philly and say, what did you want for Simmons again? This 3-card lineup ain't it, man. From Amath, anyway, Chauncey Billups' replacement is sitting next to him if things go sideways. Whew.
Scott Brooks, baby. Scott Brooks. No.
Scott, at a glance, getting a team of non-passers and non-defenders to pass and defend takes time. From Ken, time to tank. Next one, not optimistic. Like, it is, like, this is not me reading this stuff or saying this. This is straight from you guys.
Danny, we have talked about preseason basketball and its relevance, but I'll say this: losing by 40 points or whatever they lost by today does not build optimism. No. I saw one person tweet me was like, I'm about to bet the Kings on the opening night if this is how they're gonna play. And I'm like, I kind of don't blame you.
What's that line looking like about now? Like,
probably too big.
It's maybe Vegas hasn't adjusted to Portland just yet. But here's the thing. I still think the over is a viable thing. Like, it was 42.5 on the low books. That's barring a Damian Lillard disaster, they're above 500 team on the season. I don't, especially with the way that season closes.
Oh,
like the final 20 games is just up.
Danny, I'm still betting the over.
Yeah, I've seen some people like bet the under, blow it up, and I'm like, there are places in these extremes of the Blazers are going to win 60 and they're going to win 28. Like, there's a large range of possibilities here, guys. Alex John just pulled up the line and says it's -5.5. For the
I might take a teaser line with the Kings and another team and bet that up.
That up just a little bit, like a little 7.5. Call it good.
I might take because it's only 2 points. So take them 7.5. Kings plus 7.5 might not be a bad bet.
It's not too bad. Overall, the Blazers have one more preseason game. Weirdly enough, I think the Lakers played their 5th last night, and the Blazers just played their 3rd tonight.
But they play Golden State, don't they?
Yes, the Blazers play Golden State on Friday. Yeah. We do have a guest for the pregame show, Sam Esfandiari, fellow Blue Wire Podcast Network homie. If you guys don't know, that is one of the co-hosts of the Light Years podcast, Sam Esfandiari and Andy Liu. Those are the homies. Sam is going to stop by for the pregame show. I told him only 15 or 20. He's like, I'll be there for 30. So we'll have him for the whole pregame show. And I think that's going to be a fun one to kind of talk about where the Blazers and Warriors sit right now, because I have them in the same tier. Everybody's like,
really?
Oh, yeah. And as far as like that bottom group of like 4 between 5 and 9.
If Clay can play and stay healthy, Jordan Poole looked really stinking good against LA. I don't know if I will put them and the Blazers in the same tier. They might be really good, but
yeah.
Do you think your buddy Sam, because I'm familiar with him, but we don't know each other. You think he's going to want to block me on Twitter if I ask if they take CJ for Clay straight up?
He wouldn't block you. He would laugh you endlessly out. No, Sam will probably just troll you endlessly. I'll give him the sound. I'll give him the sound bite, and he can play it to Warriors Twitter, and then all of Warriors Twitter will will just like absolutely devour you.
That's okay. I tweeted our buddy Justin over there in Cleveland today, and I had a Cavs fan quote tweet my response to him about Ed Davis, and he said, "This is great. Dame wants to come to Cleveland. Confirmed. We're sending Windler, 4 protected first-round picks, and Sexton. It's a done deal." And I said, "That's better than what the Knicks are offering."
Yeah, the Knicks are like, what's his name? Quickly? Yeah, we want Quickly, and hey, you go out of the way. No. Anybody actually useful or viable? Yeah, no, back the Kevin Knox. Yeah, you come here. That's the kind of thing the Knicks are putting together. Overall, man, it's a little bit of it's okay, and it's a little bit of here are some things to watch. So come Friday, we're playing the Warriors, a team that opened them up, took 69 threes in the first matchup in the preseason. I would expect that number comes down ever so slightly, but they carved up that Laker team last night pretty much the same way. They are a team that look like they are going to run a lot.
Here's the other thing about that game, and this is the downside of preseason. Are we expecting any relevant players to play ahead of starting next Wednesday? Because I don't.
With Terry, I would say I would be able to have a feel. With them playing like crap,
like have a feel good bounce back moment.
Just a quarter, because but they are banged up. Snell is not going to practice before the season.
He might not be playing when the season starts.
No, he's not going. He's not going to start, or he's not going to play opening night. That's how it looks right now. He hasn't stepped on the court yet. It's been a month.
Nasir Little hasn't been playing.
Yeah, Nas's hamstring is like poor guy is just running into it everywhere right now. Zeller, I've seen. Well, Zeller's just going to play with a mask. Has anybody ever tried to do anything with a broken nose, let alone play an NBA game at 7 foot?
That's what I suggested when it happened. I was like, he'll just play with a mask. And now I'm like, I don't know if he'll be ready.
But the thing, he'll be ready probably, but like, how is he going to breathe? For anyone who doesn't know, they couldn't rebuild his nose. Like there was nothing left. It was
That's very disgusting.
It was
I can't talk about this. You
destroyed.
You gotta stop.
If you guys want, I won't show it here. Go to Cody's IG.
Why would I do that?
Not you, just anybody else. There is an Andre Iguodala shaped elbow print in his nose. It is crushed. I don't care how many masks you put on. If that ball hits him in the face, or
he's crying. He's gonna cry.
Or the Jusuf Nurkic memorial gets slapped in the face once a game becomes his. Listen, he can play, but god dang, you were asking a lot of a center who is gonna get smacked in the face a lot.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 guys already with some stuff, and it's like, oh, this isn't good. Ant's got the finger. CJ's dealing with the ankle. Norm's dealing with the hip. You've just got nagging stuff already, and I'm like, that's what makes me go, maybe they pack it up for Friday.
I don't want to see him. I don't think I want to see him play.
But I understand why they would want to get maybe one whole shift of, hey, let's go feel good. Yeah?
Yeah. I mean, look, I see it. It's
if
probably
you squint hard enough, you're like, maybe.
No, it's probably the right thing to do. Don't allow my opinion. Like, my opinion's probably wrong. I just, given how banged up they currently are.
Yeah.
And you're killing your depth now. Like, I just don't want to be like, and so turns an ankle. I'm like, I just don't want to hear. I don't want to see that.
Yeah, and the thing is, we are literally a week away from opening night.
I know, buddy. It's 1 week.
Crazy.
1 week.
The Blazers and Kings obviously will kick it off. We're going to get out of here. It's a little bit longer just because, it's the first time we've had some real action and some real things kind of to talk about. Now with 3 games, we have a little bit more of a sample to build off with the starters playing. Quick news and notes. We will have the live show for you guys tomorrow, 5 o'clock, as always. We will go live here on YouTube, on Twitch, hosted on Blazers Edge, as always. Shout out to the guys at Blazers Edge, Dave Decker, Steve DeWald, Lindsay, everybody there who does a great job hosting and helping out. Like it. Big D says, smash that like button and subscribe. Absolutely. It's free. It helps us grow. It's a good thing. We're working on some stuff behind the scenes. I've actually, Sprague and I talked about this, and Sprague doesn't know I'm going to say this, but somebody else asked about it, so I'm going to. If you guys want us to do or want me to do, because I don't know how much, I'm not going to volunteer Sprague, a little bit of like a Manning cast for a game or two this season. That's something we've talked about. So Sprague's antisocial, so we don't want to have you around.
I think with the right game, that could be a lot of fun.
Oh, it absolutely has to be a game in February. Just like the most random throw out game, like before the All-Star break when something stupid happens.
The Manning cast would have been perfect for the Ellaby Philadelphia game last year.
That's what I mean. Like it's got to be like on that, like a 5 or 6 game road trip where everybody's like, oh God, somebody's banged up. So just something weird. PM says I would bombard Sprague about his golf swing. So
that's a sore subject right now. It's the off season. We're working. I just bought a putting mat. My addiction has gone even deeper, and I'm probably going to get divorced and lose my kids in about a year because of this damn sport.
On a golf note, shout out Dane Delgado, fan of the show, just all around good dude. Matchstick Golf. If you like golf ball markers, go check out his stuff. He doesn't know I'm plugging it, but I'm plugging it here because it's my damn show.
He makes ball markers.
Oh yeah, Matchstick Golf. Go check it out. They're dope. We'll have to get a Jacked Ramsays unofficial golf tournament going when I'm back up and moving next summer.
That would be dope.
Now that got a smile out of Sprague right there for the listening audience.
That's my favorite social setting is golf.
That tracks. That
We're
tracks.
talking for 2 minutes and then leave me alone. I'm swinging.
All right, Sprague. What else you got coming up for the rest of the week, buddy?
Just football.
Should I just stop doing that at this point?
Just tune into the show if you like other sports. It's not just
what show
related.
is that, Sprague?
That is Dirt and Sprague on 1080 The Fan from 6 to 9 a.m. We actually had Neil Everett on today.
I did, and that was a well placed promo for the pod in there.
Hey, look, he put it in. I just wanted to say thank you for plugging the pod.
For anybody who missed it, Neil Everett, ESPN great, plugged Jacked Ramsays and Casey's piece. So. And
he actually admitted his 3 favorite Blazers are Bill Walton, Dame, and Maurice Lucas.
It's a good trio.
And he has a beach house famously in Seaside. He brings it up.
The Airbnb house?
It's an Airbnb house. He said it is on Airbnb, and he's like, but you just gotta have to find it, because he's not gonna give out the address, obviously, because he's staying there right now. But he's like, yeah, it's on Airbnb, and you could actually stay in the house.
which I'm down. Coker Time says, Top Golf, Danny. Listen, guys, I'm a Top Golf fan. I will hop the back highway from Newburgh to Hillsborough to go hit me some Top Golf. But I don't know if you guys know this. I have one leg right now.
Yeah.
I'm literally 2 weeks removed from crutches. If I swung a golf club right now, the rest of my right leg would explode. So I'm aiming for March to hopefully pick up a golf club again and see how it goes. But we'll get out of here on that. We're going a little bit longer, like I said. Tomorrow's the live show, 5 o'clock, hosted on Blazers Edge, available on Twitch, on YouTube. I've tried to get it up on Facebook, but it's such a pain in the ass. If you haven't already, please like, rate, review, subscribe. YouTube, Twitch, iTunes, Spotify. Help us grow the show. It has been incredible.
I don't think iTunes is a thing anymore.
Apple Podcasts, same thing.
It's not, though.
Oh, okay. Well, fine. Thanks. Now I just sound like a jerk. Okay, cool. On that note, let's go ahead and wrap things up. And from there, we'll catch you guys